Hi, I'm Annika Johnsons from Al Johnson's in Sister Bay. I hope you enjoy my new video series called Door County Girl. These are stories of my life, the people and places that I love, and of course how we all survive here in northern Wisconsin. You can come back as often as you like, but don't forget to subscribe to Al's YouTube channel. I'll be posting lots of really cool new videos. So let's go! Welcome to another episode of Door County Girl. I'm again Annika, and I'm with my brother
Rolf.
And we're going to talk about our Christmases, or our Yule time. In Swedish we call that Jul, J-U-L. You don't say the J, right, Rolf?
Nope, just like Yelly and Yam.
Yelly and Yam, no J, people. Jul, good Yule, means Merry Christmas. So we're going to talk a little bit about what Christmas was like for us as we were growing up.
You know, I started thinking about that. You know, do you recall the first Christmas we spent at home that you remember when you were small? I mean, I remember sleeping in our sleeping bags around the tree.
Yeah, but here is the deal. When Rolf says that to me and says, do you remember the first Christmas that we spent at home? Where did we spend them before? Well, because we are a working family, we never really had a chance to take a vacation because my mom and dad were always working all the time. So at Christmas time, because all our relatives lived in Sweden or in Chicago, he had one sister. So we really didn't have family to celebrate Christmas with up here except for ourselves. So by the time we...
Well, I think the first time I went to Sweden that I remember, I was probably 6. That I remember the full time.
But we always took a vacation instead.
We went to Sweden for Christmas one year. That was one of my favorite Christmases.
Mine too. I thought we should have done it every year.
Yeah, I mean, we had the perfect snow that year, and Tomten,
yep,
which is different than Santa Claus.
And the little tiny village that my mom is from is called Österbymo, and it's about the same size as Sister Bay. But during Yule time or Christmas time, they have such a community spirit. Everybody goes down to light up the Christmas tree like we do here in Sister Bay.
And they had all those torches.
We all have little candles, and everybody's
singing.
Some
people showed up on cross-country skis.
Yeah, and those sparks.
Oh yeah, the kick sleds.
Yeah, the little kick sleds that, it's like a little seat on the front, handlebars that come up, and that just got the rails, and you skate like a skateboard, and you hop on, and everybody's got those over there.
Yeah, I think even the mailman had them.
Yeah, well anyway, the reason why we didn't ever spend Christmas at home so much was because of the family thing.
And that was our vacation.
But that was our Christmas present.
As well. We didn't often exchange gifts if we knew we were going somewhere.
Yeah, my mom and dad said, "You guys want to stay home for Christmas, or would you rather go somewhere?"
So Christmas was either Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and it was done, or we went on vacation, and we have between 10 and 14 days of Christmas.
Realistically, I think that my mom didn't want to stay home because Christmas break is way too long, and all parents know that. So after the first couple days of Christmas, and we've got 2 weeks off.
Oh yeah.
My mom was just like, when school started,
"You kids get outside.
Gosh darn kids are driving me crazy. Get outside." And we were always like, "We're bored. We're bored. Yeah. What can we do today? We're bored."
Never bored on vacation.
No, my God, never bored on vacation.
But do you remember when we went to Sweden, we'd see Tomten is coming down the road with his bag of toys, and he's not fat, jolly Santa.
Tomten in Sweden is a little pencil. He's a little skinny
He's skinny. I remember him. It probably wasn't his real cheeks, but he had these bright rosy cheeks.
Well, they wear like this weird mask.
Yeah, and he looked like
kind of creepy.
He was, and he carried a bag of toys. And I don't know how he even supported it. But then we also thought that still reindeer were going to land on our roof, and we thought we'd go out and look for Santa on the roof.
And I remember all our cousins, we didn't speak Swedish, but our little cousins didn't really speak English.
It never mattered.
We didn't care. We all got
played
along
like crazy.
Great, and we all would sit around this big table, and they let us play with fire. Why did they let us play with fire?
Was it the candles?
Yeah, remember that wax?
Yeah,
And then they don't use Scotch tape at Christmas. When we're wrapping presents, we get out the gift wrap and the scissors, and we get these wax things. We light them up.
And you drip the wax on the package to seal where you normally put
seal it
tape
with a stamp.
with the stamp that was on your namesake.
family.
So we had the letter J. I remember that in
Yes.
school. That was neat.
And I mean, we're all real little, and we all have our fire in
Yes.
my grandma's house. I'm like, we're all going to burn my
With a
grandma's
live
house.
dry tree in the vicinity.
So the age groups were all over the place, I remember.
Oh, do you remember? I remember when I don't think you were there. It was Suna, Dad, myself, and Lars, and we all had the exact same hat.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was,
They look like a Russian Cossack.
and I
hat.
want to say it was bear fur. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
And you're right. It looked like those Cossack styles.
Like
and
all the Swedes had them.
one of the torches fell on me, and it started mine on
Oh,
fire.
I remember that.
Yes, and Suna, if he wasn't right there, I didn't know what happened, and he's sitting there beating me over the head with his hat till he put it out.
You're probably going,
Well, then I remembered after that it was semi-melted, and you couldn't. The snaps never worked after that. But
I remember that now that you brought that up.
yeah,
Well, it was nice to go over there because we hardly ever got to see our cousins, and my mom has a brother. She had a brother and two sisters, and all the family over there. We'd all come to my mormor and my morfar's house, which in Sweden we call our mother's mother our mormor and our mother's father morfar.
and the other way around, be far for father's father, and far more for father's mother.
And at that point, my dad's parents were living here, even though they're both from Sweden.
Yeah.
But they lived in Chicago, and then they moved up here.
But if you were at somebody's house, you always knew what side of the family they came from. If they addressed them by their
we never
name.
made up nicknames for our grandparents like all these people do nowadays. But we
No,
just
it was
had
never
this,
Nana or anything like
yeah,
that.
Nana
It was
and Gumpy and
yeah,
Gogo and Doo-Doo and
Yeah,
I'm like,
no.
what's that? Just more and more far.
And you knew
There's
it-
far and far more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting.
But then we had gone there for a few years, but I also remember we went to Puerto Rico one year. Do you remember
Yeah.
that? That was
I
pretty.
remember that a lot because we were real little, and I remember going to Puerto Rico, and Mom ate some fish.
Oh yeah, she got food
And she
poisoning.
got food poisoning so badly, and my dad isn't used to taking all three of us kids
Yeah.
by himself. And my mom ended up having to go to the hospital because she was that sick. I mean, we
Yes.
thought she was going to die. My dad was so
Yeah.
panicky. He almost thought, because we don't have insurance there in Puerto Rico.
I don't think at
But
that
she
time.
ended up spending like a week in the hospital, and my dad was trying to think of things to do with us three because we were so little, and worrying about my mom on her deathbed with this horrible, horrible food poisoning in the hospital. I remember that.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
We were on a gondola. Remember the gondola?
Yes.
It was like we're going up a mountain to go look at something, and Dad was trying to entertain us while my mom was in the hospital.
And then it wasn't too much longer after. We stayed home a couple in between there.
Yes.
And I want to tell you, do you remember when we would have a handful of guests would come over on Christmas Eve?
Oh, that was fun.
And
At home.
Eddie Valentine would show up. And I remember when Bill Beckstrom showed up. And when you make risdagsgröt, remember that?
Yeah.
Like the Swedish porridge.
It's a cinnamon porridge, rice porridge.
And during the holidays, you would put one slivered almond
No, one whole almond.
in the porridge, and then you would just serve the porridge at the table. And then whoever got the almond was the next to be married. And I remember Bill Beckstrom, who was a certified professional bachelor, he got the almond, and we all thought that was the funniest thing in the world.
My mom thought that
Of course,
was the
I
best.
was pretty small, but I still laughed because all the adults laughed. I didn't really understand it. And then I remember years later, I said, you know what? Mom puts almonds by the handful in our risdagsgröt, so everybody gets an almond eventually.
Right, but never a whole
No,
one.
no, never a
Those
whole
were
one.
slivered, and then there's one whole one. But so Rolf and I remember this is our favorite part about Christmas. We would always get a big Christmas tree because our
Ceiling's about 16 feet high.
yeah, we have an old house.
And we call that the
And then
old part.
Yeah, we call it the old part and the new part. And the new part was an addition that they put onto our home.
Back in
That
73.
looks like this, like the log building with the sod roof, because they weren't going to build this restaurant unless it worked at my mom and dad's house first. But in the living room, the ceilings are super high. So my dad would get a big pine tree, and we all had sleeping bags. And
Yeah.
we had to sleep under
the
tree
all the time.
with the toys, like we were guarding the tree, and the toys were
And
something.
Kiki. Don't forget Kiki.
Yeah, Kiki, our cat,
Yeah.
who was the worst cat in the neighborhood. We never neutered it, and it was a tomcat, and you could never touch its ears or its tail or its back feet.
Yeah, but he liked to sleep under the tree with
With
us.
us, yeah. His name was Kiki.
And all our
His name should have been Spike.
yeah, all our ornaments were, for the most part, we probably still have them. They're all like those straw ones.
Yeah, we couldn't wait to decorate the tree. We all made that a family
Yep,
function.
yep. And that was always on Christmas Eve, though, wasn't it? Or was it before then?
No, before.
Before then?
And it was like in the daytime, and then we would have the tree lit up at night. But I remember Mom would put out a big spread, and it was always cold down there, so she would just leave the food on a table down there. So she didn't want to cook us dinner all the time. She's just sick of us after 2 weeks. So we would just run down there on the table
Nibble
and
at
eat
something,
ham
yeah.
and
You'd have a
cheese and
buffet
eat.
sitting there all the time.
So if we said we were hungry, she'd go down on the table and eat.
And do you remember they always brought out Mom had that big, what was it? I think it was like a see-through smoky plastic bowl, always filled with Christmas cards.
Oh yeah,
And she
we'd
would
love
always,
to go through
yes,
them.
because she'd save the ones from the year before, and we'd go through them, and we'd say, well, who was this person? Like, if we didn't know,
And she would tell us
and
the
she'd
whole
tell us, and
story.
there was a whole story behind them, and you felt like you knew them that way when you were just kids.
And then we couldn't wait till next year. Did you get another card from those people from Sara Lee?
Yeah,
That owned the Sara Lee cheesecake
or
place?
the McCormick's.
Yeah, the
it was-
McCormick
yeah.
Plaza or the McCormick Inn or whatever.
Yeah,
I know. And then my favorite part about Christmas was I hate it when you go to Christmas and everybody's just ripping open their presents in the Christmas morning. We never did that.
No, ours was Christmas Eve, and somebody would start out just by a choice, and that person would go pick a present,
Yep.
and then they'd come back, and then if that was from a certain person, they might pick that person, or they would pick somebody else. So it was one at a time, so we'd all take time to
so
see
we
what
all
somebody
got to
got.
watch Rolf unwrap a present to see what he got
Right.
and enjoy that. Like, wow, that's pretty cool, Rolf. That's
Yes.
pretty cool.
And you paid attention so
And then
much
you
more.
get to go get a present under the
Yep,
tree
yep.
and pass it to the person, whoever it is. You couldn't look at the presents; you just had to grab one.
If you grabbed your own, you put it back.
This
yeah.
one is for God Yule to Jesper from
Yep.
Annika. So Jesper would get to unwrap the present.
Sure, and then he would go and blindly pick one up and say,
Yeah.
"This one is for Lars," or
Yeah,
something.
and then
to
we'd
that.
all wait for everyone to open up a present.
Yep.
That was my favorite. I
Yeah.
used to love watching what everybody got.
Well, I can never. When I get back from from the Christmas holiday, back to school, they'd all talk about Christmas Day. In the morning, they'd race and get up in the morning and
Yeah.
tear. And I was like, "Where was everybody else?" And
Yeah,
they're
we
like,
were
"Well, they're all
sleeping under the
sleeping."
tree with our toys
That's like we're
already.
staying there. Yeah. And you know what, Dad? I remember he always used to bring right around the holidays too. Although this often occurred during any time of the year, but he'd always bring home a great big napkin box full of wooden blocks that
Oh,
he would
yeah,
get from Lampert's.
He'd go get all the
Chunks
of
that they
wood.
would cut off, and then somebody up there must have sanded the edges a little bit, and we'd have these building blocks.
Yeah,
that,
they were like giant Legos, but they were just wood.
yeah,
like
we'd-
Lincoln Logs
yeah,
without the
curves in them.
segments.
And all we ever tried to do was build towers
It was like playing Jenga, but we would build
and run your
things.
Hot Wheel track through them, or try to.
Hot Wheel tracks. Don't even get me started. We all loved Hot Wheels, and we all had the cool spiral parking lots where they come down and all that they connect together. There were plastic strips that you had to have that piece to put on that one.
piece
Just
was
put the-
golden. If you didn't
Yeah,
have that,
if you
you
didn't
were.
have the piece, you
if you
could
try
not
to
use
put
your
tape
Hot Wheel
on there,
tracks.
then all of a sudden a car would go over it 2 or 3 times, and it would get farther and farther apart until it wouldn't work anymore.
And I still remember one year, every package I opened up, a doll. Oh, another doll. Oh, another doll, another doll. I never played with dolls. And Rolf would open up a package. Ooh, I got a Hot Wheel. I got another Hot Wheel. I got another Hot Wheel. I'm like, why can't I get Hot Wheels? And Rolf and I had these round cases, and they had a little handle.
It looked
on the
like a
front.
tire.
It was a tire.
Yeah, and all the Hot
our
Wheels
Hot
sat in
Wheels
there.
went in there, and we would polish them. We would wax them up and polish them and put them away, and we'd trade every now
Do you
and
remember
then.
the little blue Hot Wheel that had like the dome?
The little bubble?
That thing is worth like $350 today, and I don't know where that thing is. I probably gave it to John and Dennis
You
afterwards.
probably have it sitting in one of your
Oh
vehicles.
yeah,
He lives like a hoarder in his car.
yeah. Well, but I think that it probably ended up with John and Dennis, and then it probably ended up somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it's who cares what they're worth?
What
It's
else
more
did
fun
we
when
do
you
with
play
those
with
damn
them.
Hot Wheel tracks?
Those were my
I'd get mad at Rolf and I would whack him.
those
with
were
it.
my weapon for.
Those were weapons. You know how when you're doing gift wrapping and then you get that cardboard tube?
Yeah.
We'd whack each other over the head with them. Those
Oh,
were
yeah.
weapons.
That was all in love.
And they would
fun.
leave big red marks. Those
That's when tape came in handy because you make them 3 long and then you tape them up and look
Mom
out.
would get so mad.
Fight nice, you kids.
Fight nice.
She would say, fight nice.
Because that was hilarious. And if ever I got it after Rolf would jump in my mom's lap and go, I love you, Mom. And I'd be standing there just going, you better stay in that lap.
But later on, though, we started going on cruises.
Yeah.
And those were actually quite fun.
Yeah.
you know.
And, you know, my mom and dad were, you know, we're sick of each other.
Yeah.
Because we grew up together. So my dad was like, want to bring a friend? We're like, really? So we all got to bring a friend on the cruise, and he would pay for the whole thing for them and to come along, or he'd pay for some other people that don't get to travel much. But they were always like that.
Yeah.
Like we'd go to Florida too. And
We go on ski vacation, the same thing.
yeah, and you know, I think that mom and dad started out simple though. We started out going to Florida first because that's all they could afford. And then we would go to not Daytona Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Pompano, and Delray Beach, Deerfield Beach, that area. And we would get a little house and we would be there for like a month.
Almost like you moved there for the winter.
Yeah, we felt like it was forever, but it was awesome. And we go to the beach and it would be great. But then we would do things more exotic. Dad one time took us on island hopping.
Oh yeah, that was in, wasn't that in?
It was all over the Virgin Islands.
Yes,
and we
yes,
would
yes,
take
yes.
these puddle jumper planes where they'd land in the water.
These seaplanes.
Yes.
Yes.
I loved that. That was my
fun.
favorite.
I forgot about that.
They were a little creepy, but it was really
But you know
fun.
what else I liked when there were times I hope we stay home this year, because sometimes there were certain things. I loved when we made knick.
Oh, knick. That is, if you don't know what knick is, it's caramel, like a caramel, but you get out a big skillet. Like my mom has the big skillet to make everything, and it's got the lips.
Yeah,
and
you plug it in. You can make beef stroganoff in it, hamburger helper,
throw in your
and
hash,
knick.
your Mary Camp, Van Camp hash or whatever. But my mom put all the ingredients in there, and she didn't really let us get to stir it very much, because if it splattered, it would burn you bad. And then we had these teeny tiny little, like, they look like tin foil on the outside, but they have like a little tissue cup inside.
It must be like a wax paper or something. They're hard to find. I've never found them.
No,
but
they're
then
hard to
and then
find.
she would simmer that candy in there, and then you would slowly tilt the pan and pour it a little bit in each one.
Yes.
And then you let it harden. It would when
They
it
were
was
in a,
solidified.
like a little cupcake.
And of course, Mom likes almonds, so she always had chopped slivered almonds in there. And sometimes she would put, I think, orange rind. I think once in a while she'd put orange rind in there.
But then I also
But you
remember
peel 'em
not
back.
using the cups to tin.
Yes.
And then we had these little pieces of wax
paper, and we'd twist them. But I don't know how she kept them so uniform.
I know.
That's,
I don't know
that's a
if she
good question.
Let it harden, and then she cut them, and then we put them in the wax, and then we rolled them
Maybe
up.
that's why I didn't pay attention. But you know what? We made those also at Mormore's house. I remember in Sweden. There's a picture of me with a baker's hat and a rolling pin.
Yeah,
and we're in the
actually, that
kitchen.
picture is in Mom's living room,
Okay,
isn't it?
I don't remember.
I've seen that picture.
But yeah, and we're baking something in there, and then we're making bulla and kneck.
Oh, yeah,
but over the holidays, it was always kneck and pepperkaka.
Oh, pepperkaka. That's a Swedish ginger snap, and we sell them here.
Not Mom's, of course.
Not Mom's. But again, you know, most of us know what it's like when you have kids and they all want to make cookies. So you make all the dough, you got mounds of it, and the kids are like, yeah, we want to make cookies and we want to decorate them.
Then they slowly disappear.
And then all of a sudden, you're halfway through the thing, and where all the kids go?
And you're the only
I got
one
all
there.
this cookie dough
and
left.
you make up your mind, do I complete the task or do I just put everything away?
Yeah, now I get it now that I'm older, because I'm like, I ended up sitting in the kitchen finishing up all that cookie project.
Yeah.
And now I feel Mom's pain when she was younger.
But we should make some connect this year. I gotta see if I can find those little tiny.
Yeah, and my mom
cups.
always had great cookie cutters too, like hearts and gingerbreads and deer. We had a bunch of different kinds, and we would make them all. But my mom didn't really let us overeat any of them. Like if we could get a connect, we would get one.
Yeah.
You can have one.
But I remember, the gingerbread dough was peppercorn dough
And then
was
she'd
so
get mad
good.
because we kept eating the dough.
I'm sick now. It's like-
I know. The dough and cookie dough is always the best. Even here when John Ostrand bakes,
yeah.
Julie Corden and I, one of our waitresses in here, he knows we both love the cookie dough, so he gives her a little bowl and me a little bowl.
Yeah,
and
just
we
to keep you
always eat the
occupied so he can
cookie
finish his
dough.
job.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, you know, the other thing that I remember when I was little, and I tell you what, some of these things are like magical to me still. Like I think back, and it was just like yesterday. We used to get the advent calendars.
Oh yeah.
But there was nothing in them.
No.
It was a picture.
Yeah.
And I was so excited to see the picture.
Next picture was.
It wasn't a piece of chocolate. It wasn't a candy. It wasn't a toy. It wasn't like getting a Happy Meal. It was a
Mine
calendar.
hung on the wall right alongside my bed because it was against the wall. So every morning, the first thing I did was open up. If it was the 18th, flip it open.
Yeah, we couldn't wait to do
Yeah.
that. Like
And
that in the morning, we were like, "Can I open it? Can I open it?" And my mom goes, "You can't open it beforehand because Santa will know. The pumpkin will
Right,
know."
and I think sometimes we'd accuse each other. You peeked already. You knew
you
what it was.
peeked,
You
you
looked. I
peeked.
saw yours. They looked like they were bent open.
Yeah, she tried to shut it again. But there wasn't anything to steal out of it. It was like
No, it wasn't like you're gonna eat all the
it
chocolates.
was
There
a
was
cute
nothing.
little picture,
Yeah.
and the one at the very end was always like Jesus in the manger, or
I thought that was the 25th.
that it?
Yeah, maybe. Did American colors go for it?
well, I don't know, but there was
Maybe
always
they
like
ended the 25th. You're right. It was always a
It
baby
was always
Jesus.
like the build up, the build up, the build up,
Yeah.
and then you couldn't find the number. You're like, "Where's number 3? I can't find number
It
3,
was like-
Mom.
it
They
was
didn't
like-
make a number 3."
It was our version of Where's Waldo.
I think they forgot the number 3. You know how you're
Yep.
impatient and you can't find
Well,
it.
because it'd be some ornate
And my
picture
mom
and you'd be
didn't want
looking
to
all
point
over
it out.
for it.
She's
No,
like, "Don't point it out. You got to find it."
on your own,
We're
sure.
like, "Oh."
No,
Well,
but-
anyways, there's a lot of things that I remember about Christmas when we were little. But you know what? My best part about Christmas is that we all just spend time together.
yeah.
You know, yeah.
Otherwise, you can't.
Coming here to work is one thing, but we don't ever get to relax together.
Right.
You know, that was my favorite part when my dad could be home and sit down and like joke around with us, or go outside and do something with him, or you know, I just
And they'd make glug, and and the
Yeah.
kids would have the non-alcoholic version of it.
yeah,
and,
I just felt like we spent more time at Christmas because it wasn't crazy busy in their world then, and I felt like when Bo was little, my son, he loved Christmas too because we all got to be together like
Yeah,
that, and
yeah.
you know, he wanted that so much to have.
It's funny how
everybody-
when you grow up now and even look at the old pictures, it's like you see the nucleus of the family grows and grows, and then it kind of a little more, but then all of a sudden they start disappearing because some aren't there. They're either in school or they're older now and they have other things to do.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon you're back to just you again.
I know. You know, and my favorite picture on the planet, and I don't know how it happened, but I think it was Christmas at your house when you were up on NP.
Oh, when all the kids are piled on
my
one
dad's
another.
sitting in a chair and he's got all the grandkids that were there on his lap.
Yeah.
And I've just never seen him happier.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Jesper, there was Bo, there was Ethan and Chase,
Yeah.
and they were just climbing on him. We have other kids, but they just didn't come up at that time. But I have that photo of my dad, and it's just like one of the best pictures I've ever seen when they're all happy.
And that would
like
be the one time out of the year you'd see Dad in a Norwegian sweater.
Yeah.
Occasionally he'd wear a cross-country skiing, but mostly he'd wear, that would be his dress up. That was his version of a suit and tie.
Exactly.
And you know, I never kept my hat because, like I said, it melted and plus my head got
My
fatter.
mom had a white fuzzy
She
hat,
did,
a white.
but Dad still has his. It's still in the closet.
You should wear it.
I should get it again. Of course, it says Al inside of it because Mom
Yeah.
wrote Al inside of his.
Well, anyway, I know that we have to wrap this up, and we could go on and on because we have so many good memories of like Christmas time for me. Anyways, with the skating rinks, and then we go to skating, or they used to flood the pond back here. They used to come and we'd skate,
Yeah.
and then we skated over here.
Over behind the village, or
we go
behind the post
sledding at Hill
office.
17.
Yeah.
You know, there was always something to do.
I remember the lake used to freeze differently, you know, maybe bad choice of words, but we could skate on it. Remember?
Rolf
the-
and I would grab a sheet.
Well, they would grab Mom would go to Nelson's Hardware, grab a whole box of ice skates, drop them off at the village hall. The kids would get off the bus, get the ice skates on, skate from Bunda's dock to Mom's house.
Yeah.
And it wasn't prepared for us. You just could do it. And then she'd have hot
was
chocolate
before it
waiting for us there.
snowed,
It was
yeah.
right around right when Christmas holidays would
Yeah,
start.
like the little lakes do, like Europe
Yeah.
Lake, and you can skate on them before it snows.
Oh, I loved going to visiting people on Christmas too.
Yeah, me too.
Even went up to Grandpa's house, or when you
Yeah.
went to Birdie's across the street. Remember,
Yeah.
what was her sister's?
Ethel and
Birdie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
They
mean,
always give us candy.
Yeah, French burnt peanuts.
Yep. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
Love those. Toffee burnt peanuts.
It's silly how you remember the exact minor details what you did.
Well, we got to wrap this up because
Oh,
it can't
yeah,
be
yeah,
too
yeah,
long.
sure.
But I'm just saying, I think Christmas is for families, and I think even as small as your family can be, I like tradition. So you should keep tradition in your family. My mom always says, the younger generation doesn't like any tradition anymore. They don't like it anymore.
Well, the traditions.
I do.
I do, and
She doesn't know that about
right,
us.
but I also think that Mom's memories of traditions have probably gone a little bit by the wayside because certain things don't
She
exist.
lives in America now.
And then ours also have gone by the wayside. So you kind of develop your new traditions. You try to include the old, but we don't have that same access to everybody else.
Yeah, if I could fly to Sweden every Christmas,
that
I
would be
would go
great, yeah.
because it was so much fun. I remember my son said to me, "Mom, we need to spend Christmas in Sweden.
Yeah.
When we get back, let's go over there and spend Christmas," because I would tell him how fun it was.
Yeah.
But not that it couldn't be here. It's just that you just never get to do that.
But I think that sometimes, remember the poem that Ralph
That's my
Muir?
favorite.
Yeah. If you just listen to that poem.
So Ralph Muir is a friend of ours, and he always reads a Deep Dark December or a Dark December.
I think something like that, but it spells out
Well, we post it
what
on
Christmas
our
should
Facebook
be.
page every year for Al Johnson's, and it'll be on there again. You'll see it, and everybody comments on it.
Oh,
how
yeah,
awesome
it's
It's one of
fantastic.
the most amazing poems ever. It probably should be. I like it better than A Christmas Carol. It's so good. But anyway, we're going to wrap this up, and Rolf and I are going to finish our coffee and talk a little bit more about Christmas, but we're on a time pinch.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. So
We hate the clock. I never know about the
yeah.
clock.
A
But
couple other things. Don't forget to subscribe and like.
to like and to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and
May your holidays be happy and bright and good Yule.
God Jul and God Nytt År, which means Happy New Year and Merry Christmas.
Absolutely.
Oh, here, Rolf, let's Skål.
Skål.
Thanks for watching Door County Girl. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you next time.